Drugi dio naše emisije 500 dana do Pariza snimamo u francuskoj ambasadi u Zagrebu. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for hosting us here.
Thank you for having me.
It is 500 days until the Olympic Games in Paris. Is it too long or is it panically so close?
No, it's too short actually. We think that the games are tomorrow and we would like the games to be tomorrow, but of course it's a huge organization, it's a huge challenge, and we are very humbled by all this. It will be the third time in French history that we do organize the modern Olympic Games in summer, 1900, 1924 and 2024. So it's a huge challenge for us, but we are very excited and very happy to host the world, because basically this is what the Olympic Games are.
100 years between 1924 and 2024. How come that Paris decided to be a host, and what has changed in Paris in these 100 years?
Oh, so many things have changed. But during those 100 years, it would be unfair to say that nothing happened. Actually, we did organize the Winter Games. It was not in Paris, I give you that, but it was in France. And it was, of course, a great experience for us too. So we are very happy to, you know, to try to find the right balance in taking fully the advantage of this historical relationship that we have with the games, and at the same time to have some very modern, innovative games. So we want at the same time to find the history of games and at the same time to go forward towards the future. It means to have sustainable games, to have games which would be sustainable financially, but also as far as sustainable development is concerned. So we want to halve the production of carbon dioxide during this time, and we also want to offset more carbon emissions at the end of the games than the consumption of carbons during the games. So it is a very important thing for us, and we hope that people can share that with us.
The Green Games, let's say it.
Also the Green Games. The Green Games, and the games for everybody, the inclusive games. This is extremely important for us. Of course, the Olympic Games, also the Para-Olympic Games. It is, as you know, the very core of the Olympic movement, which is to be non-professional. Sometimes we tend to forget a bit about it, but it is games for everybody.
Also, this is first time in the history of the Olympic Games that half of the participants will be men and half women, and in Paris. Are you proud of that?
Of course we are proud of that. We are strong believers in gender equality. Actually, we celebrated with great emphasis the 8th of March, which is the International Day for Gender Equality and Women's Rights. We want to put that forward, and sports is actually an excellent way to address people about these core issues, value issues, including, of course, sustainable development, but also, you're right, gender equality. Yeah.
In the same time, Paris is preparing maybe for the last 5, 6, 7 years for these games. But what is the opinion of the citizens of Paris? What is the opinion of the citizens of France about these games?
Oh, people are very excited. It's a great honor for us. We are strong supporters of the games. Actually, you know that it's a Frenchman, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who in the late 19th century did promote the reinvention of the very old Olympic Games created in Greece, and the second Olympic Games in the modern era were organized in Paris in 1900. So there is a long history between France and the Olympic Games. Of course, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for security, it's a challenge for transportation, it's a day-to-day challenge, but we are a people, we definitely like challenges, and I think this is something that we share with Croatian people, if I may say.
Thank you for that. In challenging, when you say challenging, what will Paris have to build? What do you already have, and maybe some other ways of putting some events to the Paris?
Well, first thing is that all the games will not be, everything will not be in Paris. Actually, many other cities will be included in the games, including my hometown, Marseille, for the Plaisance. La voile, for sailing. Thank you, for sailing. But even Lille, for example, and many other countries, but many other cities. but also Tahiti, French overseas territories, where we'll have surfing competition. It's a wonderful place for surf. So it is, the games in France are not only Paris. It's true that it's Paris 2024. The bulk of everything will be in Paris. The core will be in Paris, but there will be other opportunities to discover France. What we want to do when we say that we want sustainable games, it also means that we want to build as little number of additional infrastructures as possible. Of course, we need a little more, including for swimming or for natation activities. But we already have full of infrastructures in France, and the ones will be constructed. The idea is as often as possible to have some transitional infrastructures. Will not be kept forever, but will be one shot for the games. At the same time, of course, in a few cases, it's a great opportunity to provide infrastructures which are lacking for the common people in France, and we also want to address this. Yeah.
A lot of countries during the Olympic Games ask their citizens, please go out. Will that happen with Paris?
No, it would be crazy to do this. We hope that the French people will support the Games. Actually, we will have many opportunities to do so, including when the Olympic torch will arrive between April and then end of July, the beginning of the Games. The torch will make a huge travel in France so that people can see it, people can be mobilized, people can participate into the event. Actually, this is what one of the lessons we learned from the organizing, for example, the World Cup in football, is that it's so much better when you have a strong popular support and participation. Otherwise, how can you have inclusive games?
Even now, some tickets are already sold.
Yeah, actually there are several phases of selling the tickets. The first phase is finished. We are going to start a second phase on the 15th of March, just the very day after the 500 days before the Games. And of course,
99 days. 499.
Yeah, there will be a third phase. The idea is to have a reasonable pricing for these events. 70% of the tickets should be less than 50 euros. And of course, there will be a few number of tickets which will be much more expensive, so that it would be affordable. We know that it's very important for people to be in a position to participate into these games, and certainly finance is an important thing that we have to address. And we want to have something that would be fair in the chances for everybody to participate into the game, to see the games. And for that, what is going to happen beginning on the second phase, actually people are booking possibilities to buy the tickets, and then they will buy it afterwards. So it's random, it is calculated so that everybody in the world, everywhere, would have the same chance to get tickets if they are interested, of course, on a single platform, which is quite new. Yeah.
Right. France, but particularly Paris, is a touristic town. During the Games, it will be much more people. How is about security?
Well, security is, of course, a very important asset and very important challenge that we have to address. Actually, we have quite an experience of big events and to provide security for very high-level events. Of course, the football World Cup a few years ago, but also the Paris Climate Conference in November 2015, and in a few months there will be the Rugby World Cup. Yeah. So all this is slightly different, of course, but still the challenges are very important. To secure the games, nearly 30,000 police officers and gendarmes will be on duty every day for the security of the Olympic and Paralympic Games during the summer of 2024, of course with varying degrees of intensity, with very high moments being the opening ceremony, for example. And additionally to that, there will be 20,000 to 25,000 private security guards in addition to the official French police. So we are focused in providing games which should be fair and who should be secure for everybody.
Also about traffic. Yeah. Paris is a huge town, but I was there, I don't know, maybe 20 times. And when the big sports events are in Paris, you always manage somehow. Will it be managed during the Olympics? Well,
of course we will manage, and we will be very focused. Additionally, in part, Part of the strength of our candidature for games was also the very high density of Paris transportation system, but also investments that we are doing now in order to be ready for the games, including an extension of Metro Line 14, which is an automated line between Orly Airport and Stade de France Seine-Saint-Denis, where you have a big French stadium. Stade de France. So these investments are here to provide the additional capacity that we will definitely need, of course, to manage, at least 200,000 athletes, members of federation, press organizers, and so on and so forth. So we have to address that, plus, of course, the public. So,
what is the expectation of French people regarding the results of French sportsmen or athletes?
French people are always extremely
wants more and more
enthusiastic, but they are extremely challenging in their desires. They would like us to win the highest number of medals. Well, we will do our best, but our main responsibility this time is not to win the games or to have the highest number of gold medals. Our responsibility is to host great games, because we host the world, and this is the gold medal we really want.
I'm sure you will do it. Also, because Paris is well known about the culture. Sure. Not only Paris, but the whole France. I'm pretty sure that something regarding culture is preparing in Paris, even now, and probably during the Olympic Games.
Of course, actually, we are very proud of our culture, of our language, French language. And the Paris Olympic Games 2024 is also an opportunity to celebrate multiculturalism, the fact that we all have different cultures. We are brought together during the Olympic Games to share those cultures, but everybody, we are not mixing everything up, but everybody comes with its own culture, and this is the beauty of an Olympic Games. We are strong believers in pluriculturalism and plurilingualism, when we do think that it's very important that everybody would come with his own language, so we're investing in that, and we will certainly communicate a lot on what France has to offer, French language, French culture. We'll do that, of course, during the Games, but we will do that also by communicating on the Games, but also in the different countries. So we ourselves, for example, the French embassy in Zagreb, we participate into a network which is called France Terre de Jeux, which is linked to the Olympic Games, and we will communicate about France also, and the way we see the world, and the extremely good relationship we do have, a friendship between France and Croatia, to speak about what we are, what we want to do together as Europeans, as NATO allies also, and why it is such a great opportunity to host the Olympic Games 2024. So we want to do all this. Of course, it will be very challenging.
Of course.
We still have a bit of time, so we are
500 days only.
500 days, and not a single day more, but definitely. And we are very focused also on the success of the Paralympic Games. We do think that Paralympics is a very important moment, because there is a bit less commercial competition, and it's even the spirit of the games is maybe even purer in the Paralympic Games, and I think it's very important to also get focused on this and not to forget this. Yeah.
As ambassador, you have to be a promoter in some kind of the Olympic Games here in Croatia. How do you promote it? On Saturday you were on the evening of French chanson 500 days before, so you promoted it in some way.
Absolutely. I was invited by President Mateja of the Olympic Committee of Croatia to an event with French songs and cabaret songs to promote French culture and to speak about what the preparation of the Games. I'm very happy to do that. I'm very happy to speak to you today.
Thank you.
And we hope to organize many events in Croatia with, of course, Croatian authorities, cities, the state, cultural events, public events, to speak about the Games, because Croatia is such an incredibly effective sports country. I mean, we have seen that in football. Actually, you did beat us, finally.
Finally?
So, yeah, finally, because
we
resisted for a very long time, but now we are on an equal footing.
You are still in plus.
Well, of course, but you did beat us, so now let the game begins. Yeah.
How much do you know about Croatian sport? Are you involved, or are you trying to put it now in the last 5 days, 500 days before the games?
Well, I know how important sports is for Croatia, and I must say I'm very impressed by the effectiveness of the Croatian system in providing all these incredible sports figures in many different sports, be it tennis, football, of course, but also handball, and so on and so forth, running, skiing. Actually, during the World Cup of football in Russia, when France won against Croatia, and then we did not play together during the last World Cup, but actually I had looked in detail the final, when Croatia played the final of the World Cup of football, it was the smallest country by number of inhabitants to reach a final since Uruguay in 1953.
Yes.
And I can guarantee you, but you know sport better than I do, that professional football did change quite a lot since 1953. So it's an incredible achievement that a country of roughly 4 million inhabitants would reach to that point. And it could be argued the same way for handball, for football, and for tennis. So we are impressed by this. Actually, we have strong links between sportsmen, between France and Croatia. When President Macron did visit Croatia in his official visit in November 2021, we had at the official lunch Josip Škoblar, who is, you know,
famous football player,
very famous, and famous for us because he beat the record of 44 goals in 1971 in a single season, which was certainly quite incredible. And the president did meet him with great pleasure in November 2021. And right now, today, as I told you, I myself was born in Marseille, and the selectioner and the trainer of the Olympique de Marseille football club is actually a distinguished Croatian representative, Mr. Igor Tudor, yes. And he's got a wonderful press in France because he's doing a wonderful job with Marseille. So, droit au but, as they say. We have very strong links, and definitely we should work together more in sports as we do in many other subjects.
Let's go back to Olympic Games. For the first time, as I can recall, the opening ceremony will be outside the stadium and on the river. This is an amazing idea.
It is an amazing idea. It is an idea which is, the beauty of the idea is it catches the symbolics of what we want to do, games that would be accessible, visible, where everybody can participate. You just have to go to the banks of the Seine River. A few part of the banks of the Seine River will be accessed on tickets, but the rest, the upper part, will be completely free. So the idea is to try to have as many people as would like to see it, and not in a stadium. So there are huge challenges coming with that, of course, and we are working on that, but I think that the idea is strong, and also because the symbolics of a river is something that would make the link between people, obviously. And it's a way to have also this travel, this journey, that the Olympic Games definitely are. So I'm very proud of this idea, actually. It's not my idea, but I'm very proud that we had this idea in France, and we are strong supporters in this idea. We hope to have as many people as possible.
I hope so. I'm pretty sure that security is not very happy about that, but we will do it. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for your time. Thank you for this information about France, about Paris. I'm sure that in the next 400 days before, 300 days before, 200 days before, or 100 days before, we will cooperate with you or somebody else, but I'm sure that we will cooperate.
Absolutely. We are completely dedicated to that. It's a very important thing for us. I think it's a very important thing for our relationship between France and Croatia. And so now, up to the games, and well, see you on a running stadium or in the natation infrastructure or whatever. I think we have lots of competition ahead of us, but lots of friendship, and this is what we should work on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Poštovani gledatelji, ono što smo čuli od gospodina ambasadora sasvim sigurno je dobar put da se već sad počnete pripremati za odlazak u Pariz.
A da se Francuzi ozbiljno pripremaju za olimpijske igre, da vrijedno promoviraju Pariz, govori i štafetna utrka širom svijeta. Metaforički, utrka nazvana igralište spaja cijeli svijet kroz tjelesnu aktivnost, 60-minutno trčanje i nošenje štafete. Predaja štafete je virtualna. Trčat će se od Novog Zelanda preko Oceanije, Azije, Europe, Afrike, završit će se u Polineziji, na mjestu gdje će Olimpijske igre 2024. ugostiti natjecanje u surfingu. 116 zemalja ove godine još uvijek bez Hrvatske sudjeluje u projektu. Olimpijske igre počinju za 500 dana.